So, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the last part, we did the first question of the topic arrays and hashing, and in today's video, we will jump on to the next question. So, without wasting any time, let's start. So, the second question is valid anagram. So, the question is given two strings S and T, return true if T is an anagram of S and false if otherwise. So, you might be wondering what is an anagram? So, it is given here. An anagram is a word or phrase formed by rearranging letters of a different word or phrase, typically using all the original letters exactly once. So, in simple words, an anagram is if you take a word and rearrange its characters to form a different word. So, then the both words are anagram of each other. So, here in example one, you can see the word anagram, and the second word is nagaram. So, these two words are anagram of each other, right? Here you can see that in nagaram, you can rearrange the word anagram. So it is just a rearrangement of the word anagram. So S is an anagram of T or T is an anagram of S, right? And here in example 2, you can see that the two strings which are given to us are rat and car. So these are not anagram of each other because you cannot rearrange the characters inside the rat to make a car. Hope you understood what an anagram is. And some more examples of anagram are listen and silent, listen and inlets, angel and glean, cinema and iceman, and etc. So these are the examples of anagram. So how will we code that so that we can know if the two given strings are anagram of each other or not? You might have understood the solution itself when I was explaining what an anagram is, because in an anagram, every character can be equal to the string given in the other characters, right? So here, for example, A is 1, 2, and 3 times. And in Nagaram as well, A is 1, 2, and 3 times. Here N is 1 time, here also N is 1 time. Here G is 1 time, here also G is 1 time. Here R is 1 time, here also R is 1 time. Here N is 1 time, and here also N is 1 time. So it is an anagram of each other, right? We'll be using this logic to solve this problem. Just to make you understand more clearly, we will first do the coding theoretically. That means I will show you what we'll be doing inside coding and each step, and then we will jump on to the main coding part. So here, let's assume the two given strings to us are listen and silent, right? So the first method that which we'll be using that we discussed just now is we'll be using maps. You might know what map in a Dart language is. Map store key value pairs. So we'll be using maps, and the time and space complexity of this method will be big O of n. So let's start with this method. So in this method, the first thing we will check is if the length of two given strings is equal or not. Because in an anagram, if the given two words are anagram, then the length of the characters of two strings cannot be different. It will be same. So the first thing we will check is if the length of the two given strings is equal or not. If it is equal, then we'll proceed. If it is not, then we will return false and stop execution because it cannot be an anagram if the length of this given string is not equal. And if it is equal, then we will move ahead. So the next step will be we create two maps to count the characters inside S and T, right? So we will create two maps, and the function of that map would be to store the values of each characters. Like here in S, L is 1 time, so the map will store L, and the value of L will be 1, and I and value of I will be 1, and S and value of S will be 1. It will store the value of both S and T strings. And let's name the map as count S, which will count the values of characters inside S string, and count T, which will count the values of character inside T string. Then after creating the two maps, now we will create a for loop, and the loop iterates over each character in both strings simultaneously, from the first character to the last character. So we will create a for loop, and the function of the loop will be, it is the same. It will store the value of each character inside the map. So for example, the loop will start with L, and it will check if L is already present in the map or not. If yes, then it will just add +1 to the value of L. And if it is not, then it will add L inside the map and associate a value 1 with it. And same, then it will jump to I. It will check if I is already present or not. If it is present, then it will add 1. If it is not, then it will add I inside the map. And same for S string and T string as well. So it is the same that I have already explained given here. The loop checks if the character currently inside loop already has a count in count s or count t. If it does, it adds 1 to that count. If not, it treats the count as 0 and adds 1. Essentially, it's counting how many times each character appears in S and T. So that's the function of the for loop. It is just counting how many times each character is present in the given two strings, right? And after this step, we will have the map ready with all the characters and value associated with each character. So after that, we will again use a for loop, and this time the function of the for loop will be to check if the characters inside the map, countess and county, have same key value pair or not. So for example, this will be our map from the given string s and t. L is one time, I is one time, S is one time, T1, E1, N1. And for count T, S is one time, I is one time, right? So this for loop will check if L in count S has the same value like L in count T, or I in count S is have the same value in I in count T, and same for S, same for T, same for E, same for N. And if the values are equal, then we will return true and the function will be over. And if the values are not equal, then we will return false and then also the function will be over. So hope you understood the solution. It might be a little bogus at this time, but once we code, then you will understand it more clearly. So let's start with Dotpad. So we will clear all this. Let's write main function, void main, and let's leave it for now. And we will define a new class, solution. And inside this class, we will create a function that we will use to determine if it is an anagram or not. So the function will return a Boolean value, and let's name it is anagram. And it will expect two string values, string S, string T. Like we discussed in the solution, first we will check if the length of the two strings are equal or not. If they are equal, then we will proceed. If they are not, then we will stop the execution, as they cannot be an anagram if the length is not equal. So we will write if s dot length is not equal to t dot length. So if the length is not equal, then we will return false. And if the length is equal, then we will proceed with the solution. So the next part of the solution was, let's see here, we have checked if the length is equal or not. If length is not equal, then we will return false and stop execution. And if the length is equal, then the next part is we have to create two maps to count the characters inside S and T. So the name of the map is count S and count T. So let's create two map that will expect key value pair of string int count S is equal to. Similarly, count T. So we have created two maps that will store the values of each character inside the string S and string T. So after creating maps, what is the next step? The next step is to create a for loop that iterates over each character in both strings, right? So for this, let's write for int I is equal to 0. I should be greater than s dot length and I plus plus. What is the error here? Sorry. So the purpose of this for loop is to iterate over each character in both strings simultaneously, from the first character to the last character. So for that, we will write count s, check if it is null. If it is null, then 0 or else plus 1. So this line of code checks if the character currently in loop is already present in the map countess or not. If it is null, then it adds it to the map, and if it is not null and it is already present inside the map, so it adds 1 to the value. Right? So same code we will copy and paste for count t. Just replace s with t, and the for loop is over here. So in this for loop, it checks simultaneously for characters inside the map countess and count t. If they are already present, then it adds 1 to the value, and if it is not present, then it adds the character inside countess with the value of 0. So let's see what the next step is. So here the loop checks if the currently has a countess count t. If it does, add 1 to the count, same thing. Then we again have a for loop that checks if each character in map countess and county have same key value pair or not. This for loop is for correctly comparing maps, right? So for string key in countess dot keys. So here we will check if countess key is not equal to county key. So if it is not equal, then we will return false. Otherwise, we will return true. Okay, so this is the method which we will be using to determine if it is an anagram or not. So let's define the main function. Let's define the class solution. String s is equal to, let's say, silent. And second string t is equal to, let's say, listen. Now we will check bool result is equal to solution dot is anagram. So it expects two string s and t. And after this, we will print the result. So let's say the code is working. So we are getting true here. That means s and t are anagram. If I add one more character here and run, it will return false because these two are not anagram. And let's do Nagaram and anagram. So our code works perfectly, and it is determining if the given true strings are anagram or not. So we also have a simpler method to perform this solution, but it has a downside. So let's see that. The second solution which we will be doing for this problem is sorting. So the concept behind this is if the given two strings are anagram of each other, that means they are made of the same characters, right? So if we sort them in ascending order, both the strings characters should be exactly similar. Then we can just compare the string and return true if it is equal and return false if it is not. So this is the concept behind the sorting method. So in this method, the time complexity is big O of n log n, as sorting takes some time, extra time, and space complexity is same as before, big O of n. So in this, first we will create two lists. Let's name them list S and list T. And we will add each character of the given two strings S and T in their respective list. So here we will add LISTEN in. S and list S and silent in list T. So after that, the list will be looking like this. List S is equal to LISTEN and list T is equal to SILENT. So after this part, we will sort both the list on the basis of characters. So after sorting, the two lists will be looking like this. List S is equal to EIL and ST, and list T is equal to EIL and ST. So it is pretty simple from here. So we will compare both the sorted list, and if both the lists are equal, then they are anagram. So we will return true. And if both the lists are not equal, then they are not an anagram. So we will return false. So this is a pretty straightforward method as compared to the previous one. But the downside here is that the time complexity increases. So let's code this in Dartpad and see. We will comment the first part of the code and let's create a new function that will return a bool value and let's name it our anagram. And same, it will expect two strings, string S and string T. And now let's see what the first step of a code was. So the first step was we will create two lists and let's name them list S and list T. Add each character of string S and string T in their respective list. So first we will create two lists, list of string, let's call it list S. So we will add each character of string S in the list. So we will do that by S dot split and we split it by this. And same we will make a list for list T and we will add each character like T dot split. And after that, let's see what the next step was. Now we will sort both lists on the basis of characters. So for that, we can use the inbuilt method inside that is list dot list s dot sort and list t dot sort. So this will sort the characters inside the list in ascending order. So after that, we will compare both lists. And if they are equal, then we will return true as they will be anagram. And if they are not equal, then we will return false. So after that, we will return list s dot join. This join function will join all the elements inside the list to make a string. And then we will compare it with list t dot join, right? And this will be the end of our function. And here nothing will change, just the function name will change. That is our anagram. So our code is complete. Let's see if it is running or not. So it is returning true. And if we change, then it will return false. So our code is working perfectly fine. And this is the second method. So this is fairly simple as compared to first method, but the only downside here is that the time complexity increases. So hope you understood the video. Let's take this question as it was done and let's meet in the next video and see the third question of this series.